I made a website for reporting illegal immigrants, and sometimes people end up on the website thinking that it's real. And somebody wanted to report a man that they suspected to be an illegal immigrant that lives in their neighborhood. So I reached out to see if I could help.
There is one person who comes, and he's non-speaking, non-English speaking, and he will come possibly, maybe you'll see him 2 weekends out of the month, and it's not even for a complete weekend. He'll come Saturday like a thief in the night at 10:30, 11:30 at night, and then leave Sunday, and he's gone.
Okay.
It's just very, very suspicious. While he is here, when he pulls into the driveway,
Yeah.
and the light's always on.
They're using electricity in the home.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and that is definitely suspicious.
Yes.
And they're also using the driveway.
Right, and the light is
Yeah.
always lit in the garage. When he comes, the light stays on. We cannot see the basement section from our kitchen window. We can only see that there's a light lit, and that's the garage window that we can see the light lit.
Yeah.
So
just
whatever he's
not
doing-
being able to see what the resident
Right.
is doing inside their own home, that's what raises the suspicions.
Exactly.
So that was indeed objectively hilarious and also sad and terrifying because it was very real. Like the best comedians, this gentleman is doing the Lord's work. And make no mistakes about it, it is ugly work. Because these people walk among us. Take a look at the next genius.
And I talked to one lady who wanted to report every Uber driver that picked her up, claiming that they're all using fake driver's licenses to work for Uber. So if they work for Uber, they have to scan their driver's license to sign up to...
So I'm not even sure Uber even knows what's going on. But I know out of 125 rides, and only 3 of them spoke enough English for me to understand.
So Uber's, I believe, one of the biggest tech companies in the United States. Pretty sure their technology is up to par as far as scanning driver's license. So those those Uber drivers most likely are not illegal.
Well, this guy, there's a blue button. Once you pick up a rider, it says start ride, and the driver handed me his phone and said, "What now? What do I do now?" I said, "Hit the blue button." He said, "Hey," and I had to hit the start button for him.
So because of this one incident where the gentleman asked you to press the button, you now want to forcefully remove people from the country.
I don't know. I just thought out of 125 rides, and only 3 of them. I'm not saying those 3 people were Americans, and if this makes me prejudiced, I'm sorry, but I thought that's what you was for.
Understand why these people don't speak any English. What a miserable existence that must be, to go through life without any sort of concept of what irony is. I fundamentally don't understand why there are so many people who are so pressed about other people just trying to live their lives. And I'll be the first to admit, I'm a judgmental person. But quietly in my home, and occasionally on YouTube, publicly, when asked. But to be so pressed and so racist as to try your damnedest to get a person forcibly ejected from this country for just trying to live their life, or maybe minorly inconveniencing you for 2 seconds, is crazy. Absolutely insane. I know those past couple examples were hilarious because those folks happen to be idiots, but this is terrifying overall because these people, like I said, walk among us, and this is the reality of our nation at the moment.
Hi, I am trying to set up a communication account for a detainee. I don't have their A number, which is required to set up the account, and I was hoping you could help me with that.
No, ma'am. They're going to have to be able to give that to you. We can't give it out.
So their family is not in the country. They haven't heard from them in a week. And so what other ways do we have if they're unable to make the phone call to give out that number?
There's no other way. They can't contact them. We can't help right there.
Is there a way if I left my phone number with you?
No, ma'am.
And what if I wanted to write them a letter? Could
I can write them, but they still need your A number.
I need to have the A number on the letter for it to arrive to them.
Mm-hmm.
If this was your family member or loved one who was detained, what would you do? How would you go about trying to contact them?
I would hope they'd contact me because I wouldn't have a choice. I mean, it goes against our policy.
If they're unable to do that, though, because they don't have the phone number to call out to give their A number to someone, it's so you see it's sort of like a chicken and egg situation, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any other suggestions?
No, ma'am.
So essentially, you're kidnapped and you're wholly cut off from your family and outside world completely if you're in ICE custody. You're disappeared. I work in a courthouse, a state courthouse that has a jail attached to it that houses inmates, and I have for 10 years. If this woman worked for us, she'd be fired because that's not the way it works. Even when you're in custody, you're not supposed to be completely cut off from the outside world. That's inhumane. But this makes her perfect quality to work for ICE.
On my regular commute into Chicago, I approached what looked like chaos. Cars stopped in the middle of the street, people running, yelling, and recording on their phones. Moments later, my life changed forever. A silver SUV with double tinted windows suddenly swerved into my lane and struck my car. The driver's face was almost entirely concealed. Hat, dark tinted glasses, and a face mask. He made no gesture, no signal. Before I could even process what was happening, his passengers, other masked men, jumped out with guns drawn and aimed directly at me. They ripped open my door. One of them screamed in my face, demanding that I get out, yet never identifying himself, never asked me for my ID, and never told me where I was being detained or why. They never read me my rights. Instead, I was violated. These tough guys violently dragged me out of my car, yanked me by my feet, and ripped the phone out of my hands. Beaten, bleeding, and barefoot, I was thrown into a red van. I begged them to tell me who they were and where they were taking me. No one answered. I was shoved into the edge of a third row seat. No seatbelt, suffocating body heat, and no air conditioning. I was wedged between two terrified Latino men who did not speak English. We were all handcuffed, unsecured, helpless, and I went into a full panic attack. While I was shaking, crying, gasping for air, and banging my own head against the window, screaming for help, hoping someone from the outside could hear me, they raised their phones and began to photograph me.
This was disgusting and disturbing. Do we have rights anymore in this country? Do we? Citizen or no, is this how you want your government to treat human beings, regardless of their country of origin? Are we okay with this? Meanwhile, this administration is certainly not about to be held accountable for any of this stuff because, obviously.
So first and foremost, do you acknowledge that your department has made some mistakes, any mistakes, in going after either American citizens or legal immigrants here in the time that you've been in office?
We have not deported any U.S. citizens.
Detained?
Or people get interviewed. If they get interviewed and they go through that process and if we find that they're U.S. citizens or legal immigrants, they stay in the United States.
Have you deported
We have to
any
go through the vetting process.
Have any American citizens, including children, been deported during your time in office?
We have children that mothers have chosen to keep with them. So those
By my
mothers
count, you have 10 American citizens, including children with cancer, who have been deported out of the country. I understand you're saying it's their choice.
But the mothers,
it's hard to imagine a small child having a choice.
Courts have already adjudicated that there have most definitely been unlawful deportations done by the Department of Homeland Security at this point in time, and the DOJ. And John Wayne Barbie there is just like, well, I don't know, probably not. This level of flippancy and disinterest is what we've come to expect from our government, unfortunately, at the moment. And even more terrifying is, according to some in their base, they're not going far enough. They already don't give a damn if you're here peacefully, legally, or if you're a damn citizen. But there's some folks in our community who, unfortunately, if they see somebody that looks, sounds, or acts differently from them, and if they had their way, they wouldn't be here. There wouldn't be anybody in this country left if some of Trump's base had their way that didn't sound, look, or act exactly like they do. And unfortunately, to a large degree, a lot of them are getting their way.